I was just doing a session with my teacher of the Norse mysteries, Andreas Koneval, and we thought we were going to be talking about a story. We thought we were going to be talking about the runes. We thought we were going to be talking about the labyrinth and the work that we've been doing around the mythology. And instead, what came forth was a really important conversation about the guardians of the land. And so I just had to grab my camera and come out here and share with you about the guardians of the land, because you have guardians of your land too, even if you're living in a high-rise apartment in a city. So the land is always beneath us and always with us. He was talking about the tradition of having a ward tree, a tree that is like the main tree that you go to honor your ancestors and the memory of the land, a place where you go to meditate, a place where you go to connect. And at first I was thinking, oh, okay, I have to find a ward tree and I have to, create this, And then I'm like, I have this tree. Here she is, by the way, this big cedar behind me. In fact, my mother's ashes are buried at the base of this cedar. So it's quite literally an ancestor tree. And I realized that no matter where I've lived, I always have some tree that's just a special tree. Even if I'm traveling, I kind of find a tree, even if it's at the local park. I'm like, what's up? You're the tree. You're my tree. And I want to normalize the fact that we all kind of have a special tree, especially if you're intuitive and you're land connected. And if you're not and you don't have a special tree, this is your invitation to create that relationship. And it doesn't have to be anything particularly religious or specific or whatever. It's just a personal connection with the intelligence of a tree. And as he was telling me about the Norse mysteries and the, traditions that have been alive for thousands of years in the Nordic countries and Iceland and Sweden, where I have some ancestry, as it turns out, I realized this is just natural. It's just natural to have a relationship with a tree. So, some ideas that come to us from different traditions. Here on this tree, we actually have hung some little prayer ties. So we make prayers, we make little bundles, we hang them from the tree as an offering to the tree. It's really raining right now. The tree is sheltering me at some level, but it's also, I'm getting wet. Okay. And Andreas was also sharing that you can make a little hut, like a little fairy house, like a little home, even if it's just a pile of rocks or a couple of pieces of bark making an A-frame, as a place for your tomte, which is your house spirit, like your little guardian spirit of your property, of your land. And you can do this with a shrub on the balcony of your apartment. It doesn't have to be a grand 200-foot tall cedar tree. It can be a shrub. It can be anything with intention, but this connection with the natural, this connection with a living thing to anchor your intention. And then maybe to make a little house or hut that honors and welcomes this relationship with the spirit of the place, with a guardian spirit of the place. I remember back when I was Catholic, I remember thinking, well, there's only one right way to do stuff, and that's through the tradition of the Catholic Church. And people who do prayers in other ways, well, they're missing out, obviously. And now I'm like, well, that's not really true. Why would we limit God in that way? Why would we limit God to only receiving prayers in a certain form, in a certain way, in Latin? I don't know. So my intention here is, as my intention is with all of my spiritual teaching, sharing stuff, is to normalize and naturalize that which just works. And honestly, being in direct relationship with a guardian tree, even in the weather, is a blessing that we've enjoyed for thousands of years. I invite you to keep enjoying it. Who's your ward tree? Who's your ancestor tree? What's the shrub that you can go to and share your stories with, share your prayers with, maybe share a glass of wine with? You're welcome. You're welcome to your own natural spirituality.